Edge Match. It's Edge Match. You're at Edge Match. Edge Match. Don't miss Edge Match. Don't miss Edge Match. You're at Edge Match. Edge Match. Don't miss Edge Match. Don't miss Edge Match.
Hey, what is up, EduLaunch family? So great to see you all tonight as we launch yet another great book. We have two amazing authors with us today. So super excited to have both Dr. Holly Blair and Dr. Rick Jeter on the show. So welcome to you all, and thank you all for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
All right, thanks so much. So y'all are both members of the EduLaunch family, but for anyone who may not be familiar with you, please tell us a little more about yourselves.
Sure. I'm Holly Blair, and I'm from Hollowell, Maine. And I have been an educator for over 20 years. I started off as an elementary school teacher and then elementary to middle school before I became a principal. And I've been a principal for over 20 years before I became the executive director for the Maine Principal Association's professional division.
Thanks.
Isn't she cool? Yeah, there are a lot of doctors in this room right here.
There are.
Right?
My goodness. Dr. Rick Jetter, Buffalo, New York, author of, this will be, I think, number 11, contributor to 2 books, assistant head of schools at Maritime Charter School in Buffalo, New York, and also co-founder of Pushing Boundaries. And Holly and I met for the first time because she invited Rebecca Coda and myself up to Maine. It was an awesome, awesome week. And from there, this book was birthed.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, that is fantastic. Just those connections are just so amazing. You know, you never know what's going to happen when you all connect amazing people together. So this is one example of it. So what inspired you all to write You Are Number One?
Well, originally, like Rick had said, when he came up to do the conference for the Maine Principal Association, we just started talking and hit it off. We were talking about our dissertations. And then I was at another conference and Rick called me up and said, hey, I was thinking about this concept. What do you think? And we just started talking about it. And we said, you know what? We need to write a book.
Love that.
Yeah, I remember that conversation. I was on my way home from UB. It was the summertime.
Yep.
We met in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
So we were chatting and I'm like, why don't we get some research, right? And think about it. Every person on this planet can remember one teacher, at least one, right? Good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I said to Holly, why don't we just throw some research out and see what happens? So that's how we started to collect our data for this book. And we had hundreds and hundreds of responses. And then that's how we framed everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really
love it because the people who responded were from all over the world. So it wasn't just one particular demographic. It was from all over. So it was really neat to do the research.
Yeah. And, Sarah, the questions were simple. It was like, what are the characteristics of a high quality teacher that you remember in your life?
Mm-hmm.
And it even had the converse, right? Like, think about a teacher that wasn't your cup of tea.
Right.
And what are those characteristics, right? So we pulled it all together and I can't, I don't mean to digress, but Holly, I don't know of a better time in education right now for this book to come out.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Sarah, it's a complete disaster in so many places. Teachers are stressed out. Principals are stressed out.
Yeah.
And this celebrates those characteristics of the best teacher you can be. And that's why we call it You Are Number One.
Absolutely. And it gives them the tools and tricks, because sometimes it is difficult to remember the why you get into education and what type of educator do you want to be. And the way that the book is laid out with not only the science behind it, but the stories to go along with the why. Why do people remember their best teacher? Why do they remember they're not so like essentially the worst teacher that they might have ever had? But it's a great opportunity because we have a book study. We have book study questions at the end of every chapter. And it's a really great reflection tool as a professional to go back and say, you know what? I need to do this. I need to make sure I do that. I connect. I remember. I think. I care. So it's yeah. I think you're right, Rick. This is the perfect time for this book to come out.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Like, just, these past few years have just been intense, in our field. So I agree with you all about the timing. And I have to say that I love your methodology behind the book. I thought that it was super creative just to get so many responses and then use that to kind of frame the way that you wrote the book. I thought that that was super, super cool. So
Thanks.
yeah, totally, totally. So why was the subject matter of the book important to you all?
Well, it's easy to remember it's really fascinating. If you tell somebody or you ask someone, give me the name of your favorite teacher, it's easy to come up with, right? And then, you know what? Tell me the name of the person that was probably the worst teacher you ever had. Pretty easy to come up with. You can remember the hundreds of other educators that you might have had somewhere in the middle, but those two jump to mind. And it's really important for educators to say, all right, you know what are the characteristics that make me be the best version or the best educator that I can possibly be? And this book does that. It outlines that. And as a matter of fact, a couple of the people who did a peer review for this book said, you know what, we're so excited about having this come out because I'm buying a copy for every staff person, and we're doing a whole school book study. And because they want to be able to have those conversations, they want to be able to build those relationships, they want to be able to have those characteristics so that every single one of them are the number one teacher for the kids who are in front of them every single day.
And that's a great summary for everything. But I just want to add one thing. And you know me, Sarah. I'm looking for projects that no one has ever done before. There is not a book like this. We've researched it. There is nothing like this out there. No one has written anything with the brain science and the celebration of those research-based characteristics that make teachers memorable. And it like jumps to another question that I'm anticipating you might ask us is like, who's going to read this thing, right? Everybody, because everybody went to school. And everybody's going to remember, the creepo and the hero.
The creepo and the hero. I love that.
That is true.
Absolutely. And there's one thing that I wanted to circle back and touch on. For those of you who are watching the video version, you might see a ticker rolling across the bottom of the screen. So Holly had mentioned about book studies. So if you are interested in getting a book study for your school and getting a bulk discount on the books, you can do that. Just email edumatchbooks@edumatchers.org. So I'm reading that out loud in case anyone's listening to the podcast. And if you do that, if you buy 10 books or more, then you'll get a discount off the price. So definitely keep that in mind. And this is, as Rick was saying, a very unique book, and it really addresses the subject beautifully. So I love what you all did. And Rick, you alluded to the next question. So your audience, as you say, for You Are Number One is pretty much everybody. So I'm gonna have you all expand on that just a little bit.
Well, just to start off, like Rick had said, it is for everybody. And even though we prefaced the book and referenced, teachers in particular, it's really a book for everyone. Why do you want to be remembered? How do you want to be remembered? And you know what? And it's not too late to change what you're doing to be that number one for someone. And you have the opportunity, especially educators, you have the opportunity to be that number one for hundreds and hundreds of kids throughout your entire career. Why wouldn't someone want that? Right? And they might be thinking, you know what, I'm a really good teacher. This is going to help me be even better. But not just a teacher. Principals are going to be able to read this and be even better. Superintendents, even better. So it really is a book for everyone.
Yeah, they can talk the common language together, right, Holly?
Right.
And Sarah, and you know this, you read the first chapter, the opening chapter, we hit the readers right over the head with a story. That's just going to blow you away, right? Like, wait till you read about this teacher.
Yes.
And it takes an extreme, right, but it really isn't too far-fetched either. And that was an actual teacher in an actual school district in an actual middle school in the United States that we garnered that story for. So yeah, we come out of the gates. We come out of the gates right away.
We do, and the fact that, I mean, it's an easy read, right? Because you can relate to everything that is there. And it's amazing in that sense. And going back to what we said earlier, it is absolutely perfect timing. I'm on the phone, all day long, all week long with educators who are actually wanting to even get out of the profession just because it is so difficult in today's world. This book is going to help bring the love of the profession back. And it's going to get everybody kind of rebooted, restarted. And to be that number one for these kiddos, because you know what? There isn't one student who doesn't deserve that number one teacher every single day.
Well said. Wow, this is a great team we have
absolutely.
Here. It is.
Yes, y'all are the bomb, like seriously. So absolutely love it, and love the message behind the book, and love the work that you all are doing. So do you have any other resources that you might suggest for readers? And also, where can they find you?
Sure. Well, the easiest way to find me is either through the Maine Principal Association or my Twitter handle, which is at Holly Blair MPA. Those are the two easiest ways to get in touch with me. The information is on the screen, but it's also at the back of the book. So don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions, any thoughts. If you want to share your own story with us and add to the stories that are already collected in You Are Number One, we'd love to hear them at any time.
Yeah, that's a good point, Holly. We want to keep this narrative flowing.
Absolutely.
And I think it's a healing process when people can share their stories and vent or talk about the victories, right? To pump everybody else up. So you can find me everywhere, rickjetter.com, pushboundconsulting.com. I have my phone number all over the websites. I take personal calls. I help people out. So, it's not hard to find my phone number.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Thank you all so much for everything that you do. I'm super excited for this book to be out. So this is awesome. So everybody who's been tuning in, we've been speaking with Dr. Holly Blair and Dr. Rick Jetter, who are the authors of You Are Number One. So one of our newest EduMatch books. Definitely get a copy. You can find it on Amazon, you can find it on Barnes & Noble, and you can find it on our website, edumatchpublishing.com. So I want to thank you all again for taking the time out and sharing about your amazing work with us tonight.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Sarah.
And thanks for the love of the book too. We appreciate you publishing it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you all for being part of our family and for sharing your great work with the world. So really appreciate y'all. And thank you to everyone for watching. So stay safe and we will see you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
It's EduMatch.